So hello, my name is Emily Beggs. Today is a different video. I'm going to be doing the Asian American tag, which I've seen go around YouTube I think last year, but I've always wanted to try that tag because I found it very meaningful to watch their videos and listen to their stories, and I thought I would like to share my story because I'm not only Asian American, but I'm also a Chinese adoptee, and so I thought if I share this, maybe someone can relate to my story and how I grew up being Asian American as an adoptee. Not only am I going to be answering these questions, but I'm also going to be doing my makeup and getting ready. I don't know if this is a true get ready. It depends on if my friends and I decide we're going to hang out later today, but either way, I got some new makeup. The new season is autumn, my favorite season. Naturally, I had to buy a few things because fall. You're going to see me do that, getting ready for the season while talking about my experience growing up as an Asian American Chinese adoptee. Let's start the video. Okay, so this is my face without makeup. As you can see, I have many blemishes that are healing because I've had just a journey with my skin, believe it or not. The first thing that I'm using, the Fix On Primer, make sure the makeup that I wear stays on my face. And I already put on sunscreen. We should just get into it. The first question is, which ethnicity are you? I was born in China, so I thought my ethnicity was Chinese and my nationality was American. But in other tags I've seen of this Asian American tag, people will say they're Korean American or Chinese American, so I guess my ethnicity is Chinese American, but you get the idea. I was born in China and I was raised in America. The next thing, we'll put on Estee Lauder's Future Aqua Brilliance. I wanted something that wasn't drying because I'm currently taking Accutane and I didn't want anything that was gonna like dry my skin out more because the medicine already dries my skin out. So the second question was, which generation are you? This is where it's a little bit different for me because I was adopted from China. I guess I'm first generation because my parents are not Asian. My parents were born and raised in America and they are white. I used to use like a beauty sponge and all of that stuff, but I get so lazy with washing things, so I just use my hands. The third question is, what is the first experience where you felt that demarcation of being a minority or different? The concealer I'm using is Luna. Right now it's kind of dark for my skin tone now that it's getting fall and winter. So the first time I can remember feeling a little bit different in a negative way was when I was in middle school and I went to the library, the school library. Our middle school and high school at the time was the same building, so it was a shared library, and I remember these older high school boys came to me while I was sitting there. They started asking me, oh, do you know karate? And then they started saying like ching chong blah, 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 pretending to speak Chinese. It just made me feel weird. That would happen a good few times where I remember I would go on the bus. Some little kids that were in elementary school and I was still in middle school, if I like walked past, these little kids would be pretending to speak Chinese to me and going like ching chong chong. They would always do that. I just felt weird about it. Ninth grade, I said y'all because I was raised in the South. She said,
Emily, it's so funny because when you say y'all, it's not really y'all.
And I was like, what? What do you mean?
Well, you know, you're Chinese. Like, obviously you can't say y'all like we do.
And I was confused. Next, we'll do eyebrows. So I'm using the Glossier Boy Brow. Yeah, and it works really nice. It's like mascara for your eyebrows. So the next question is, were you always proud of your heritage, or was there a time you rejected it? Yeah, so I'm gonna answer this question also in terms of being adopted. Yeah, I always knew that I was from China, but for some reason it took me so long to connect that with race and stuff. I guess I just didn't have a clear understanding with race. I grew up in a small town. I graduated with like around 86 people. I was the only Asian in my grade. Until my sisters came into school, I was the only Asian in the school. Since I grew up in a place where there was only white people and black people, I always just thought those were the two anything. I just thought there's white people and then there's everyone else, and if you're everyone else, you are a black person. But this is me growing up when I was little. I just didn't know. I've already told this story in one of my earlier YouTube videos. When I was little, I thought I was a black person. But it's weird because like I knew I was Chinese, but I also thought I was a black person. Like I thought you could be like both, I guess. Like I thought like being a black person was like the umbrella or something. I literally have talked about this, but for those that don't know, I took this music class. Dr. Martin Luther King holiday was coming up. My teacher explained to us what was going on during that time, how black people were mistreated. And then she looked at me and said,
"They would have mistreated you too, Emily."
That just made me think, okay, so I'm a black person. I don't know why. I think I'm just a little bit slower when it comes to big abstract concepts during that time, maybe even now. And I also remember in the 5th grade when we had to take our like state standardized test, you have to fill in what your race is. And this would always get me. I was the Asian / Pacific Islander and I'd see white. Growing up, my closest friends were white people. I was just confused. And I raised my hand and I asked her,
Do I fill in white or do I fill in Asian?
I was in the 5th grade at the time, and I don't know why it was so hard for me to understand that Asian is an actual ethnicity race. But I just didn't know, I guess, because I was the only one aside from my sisters that I saw, and I just kind of identified with everybody else. So when the question is, were you always proud of your heritage, or was there a time you rejected it? I think there's just a time when I just didn't understand. Put on some powder. I use the nose sebum powder by Innisfree, and I think it works super well. And I put this on, it's very smooth and it lasts all day. Like if I touch my forehead, it feels like just this smoothness. Another thing is, once I realized that I was Asian, that was around like high school, I finally accepted the fact. Everybody had made it clear to me, and then it became almost my identity. Everyone just would make little jokes about me being Asian. I didn't get offended about it. I like would just laugh along with it. At the time, I just liked the idea that I was being noticed for once, because that was like a thing growing up for me, wanting to be noticed and accepted. And so that seemed like a way that people would do that. Back then in my previous brain, that's what I thought it was. Around college, I really liked being Chinese and Asian. Obviously, it's taken me a long time to answer this question because there's me accepting being Asian, and then there's me accepting being an adoptee and different from the actual people who are Asian or Asian American. So I didn't have any close friends that were Asian until college. Yeah, when I studied abroad in Germany and met Taffy, my best friend. She's from Taiwan, and then she like restarted my interest in Mandarin because she spoke Mandarin and I used to know some Mandarin back then. So then I started trying to learn Mandarin because I became so close with her and I got to know her family and stuff. I remember one time going with Taffy to a party. They all spoke Mandarin. The majority of the time, everybody was speaking Mandarin. And that was also during the time when I was trying to learn Mandarin, and she was trying her best to translate for me, but it was just me that can't understand that language, and we were there a few hours. And I remember in that moment still feeling like I didn't belong. I was here with people that were all Asian, but I couldn't speak the language. I just didn't feel close to being Asian. I wanted to accept my heritage of being Chinese. I didn't really know the language. I think that was the main thing. I only went to China again when I was in the 2nd grade and we adopted my youngest sister, Jenny. During that time, I really remember wanting to hold on to being American. My parents and those families that were also adopting were like,
"Oh, what's it like? What do you think of China?"
I would just say,
Oh, I miss America.
I just loved being American at that time. So this time when I really wanted to hold on to being Chinese, I didn't feel connected to that, but I wanted to feel connected to it. And it's funny how now I'm here in Korea, I'm learning Korean. Obviously, I would love to be able to speak Chinese if I could, but At the time when I finally decided to learn Korean, that was when I was really interested in Korean music and Korean entertainment. So I was surrounding myself with the language, and I thought, well, you might as well just learn that language instead of trying to learn Mandarin while watching Korean things. But it's okay. I've accepted that, like, just do what you want to do, and you don't have to be one thing or the other. It was just this timeline of me understanding I'm actually Asian, just accepting the balance between the two. You don't have to worry about trying to be Asian or trying to be American. You're just in the middle and you're your own person. It's okay, Emily. What are some stereotypes that you struggle with? Struggle as in like present tense. The question is present tense. I'm gonna answer this in past tense, okay? Because that was when I struggled with it the most, which was being smart. Like we've already said, I was the only Asian and everyone thought that I was so smart. Everyone wanted to be partnered with me for school projects, and I know that I am not that smart. I usually made good grades. I mostly made like A's, but it was only because I worked hard. It took me a long time to understand things and get them right. But in my junior year of high school, this guy, he asked, where did you apply to go to college? And I told him, and he just said, his friend, while me also being in the conversation, wow, it must be nice to just not have to worry about being accepted somewhere in college. People just assumed I was really smart. I personally think that it was because I was Asian. Not true. I'm actually so bad at math. Really bad at math. And then the other question was, can you speak your language? I cannot speak Chinese. I would love to be able to speak Chinese, but I know that's all up to me. I've come to find while trying to learn Korean that it is hard to do that. When you're like me, I shouldn't make excuses. Fact is, I just can't keep myself disciplined to study Korean these days. I feel like it would be similar with Chinese. I love brown eyeliner. It looks natural, but it does the job. I feel like whenever I do black, I just look dirty. The next question is, how has being Asian American affected your relationship with your parents? Well, my parents, they did, I think, a good job. They tried their best to keep me connected to my heritage. Like I said, did they take me to a culture class every other Sunday, and at the time I used to like complain because it was far away and I just wanted to play. They also tried to make an effort where I would meet those girls that I was also adopted with every summer. When I was growing up with my parents, everything was fine. And when I started getting interested in watching Korean dramas, my mom totally accepted that and she would watch them with me. However I'm feeling, my mom will do her best to accept, just listen to me in that. Since we're kind of answering sometimes about me being adopted, sometimes people would ask me, who's your real mom? People would ask me that growing up when I was like in elementary school. And I would say, oh, my real mom's Miss Beggs. Because that's what my mom would tell me. My mom would tell me, yeah, I'm your real mom, and your birth mom was from China. That was the terminology I was given. I would tell my mom that, and she would just say, I'm your real mom. And she's right, like I know what she's saying, but when I was little, that kind of confused me. Sometimes I wonder, I feel like it's normal for people who are adopted to wonder who their birth mom is and what they look like, or what they're like, what they're doing, are they alive, those different things. If I ever bring those things up to my mom, she just takes it in, and it's funny, I don't actually know how she feels about any of those things. She just listens. That's pretty much what happens, and then we just move on. How do you feel about your heritage now? Do you identify with it? I didn't realize that was a later question because I kind of answered that way back. I just wish that I felt closer and more connected to being Chinese, but it's kind of hard to do that when I literally live in Korea and I'm learning Korean. I met this older man that my friends and I have gotten to know, and he is learning Chinese. And before he knew me, but heard about me, he knew that I was Chinese. And he asked me, oh, do you know the word for this? And I would always tell him no. And then he just kind of laughed and he said, you don't really know much about China. I was just saying, and it's true. But it kind of made me feel kind of 아쉬워요. That's too bad. It's too bad that that's the fact. But I do identify with being Chinese American Chinese adoptee. And I hope sometime I can learn more about China. Hope someday I could visit China. It's unfortunate that this concealer is a different skin tone than my face. That's unfortunate, but I'm trying my best to pat it out with my finger. What is your favorite thing about being Asian American, your heritage? I guess I'll just say, what is my favorite thing about being an Asian American adoptee? It's so weird to say favorite thing. Like, I don't have what means the most to me about being an adoptee. Before I answer this question, why don't we do the lips? That's what it looks like. Whatever this question is for me, if I really think about it, it really makes me just grateful for my life, my family, because we're all from different places, but we really are a family. And I see my sisters who are also adopted from different areas of the world, like Vietnam and different areas of China. I see them as my sisters, and I can't see it as any other way. So it just kind of makes me feel like there's a bigger plan that's greater than me. Personally, for me, it helps me keep my faith in God. Like, everything that I have could have been totally different. For instance, my mom told me that I was found abandoned at a police department in China when I was a little younger than 8 months. And then I was taken to a foster care, and then my dad adopted me all the way from this small town in the South in United States of America, not the South America. Anything could have happened, but I'm here and I just feel very grateful. And then the last step, I mean, there could be many more steps, but we're gonna make it the last step, is the eyelashes. This was like on TikTok, telescopic mascara. It was supposed to like do wonders and make your eyelashes so much bigger. It kind of is clumpy, I would say. Okay, and then I have to blink my eyes a billion times because suddenly it affects my contacts and I start not being able to see. I just accept who I am, and I like who I am, and I'm grateful for the life that I've been given. And I know that just sounds so cheesy and it doesn't seem like it's answering the question to me, but there's not like this favorite thing. Those were all the questions for the Asian American tag, and I think I was all over the place, but I hope that maybe someone out there can identify with my confused thoughts that I've had over who I am and what my race is or what my ethnicity is. Maybe someone else has that similar feeling of confusion but not negativity. Yeah, and thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed videos like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel because I'll be posting every week, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when they come out because there will be a next one. Bye!